called The Last Story. The name's McKenzie. Joe McKenzie. I write detective stories. Or I did. I'd had some success with a series about a PI called Rick Storm. But I ran out of ideas for him, or had enough of readers thinking he was real and could solve their cases. So I killed him off. Bad move. To say everything I did after that was a flop is like describing the Atlantic Ocean as a pond. Once my editor said no before I'd finished saying, I've got an idea for my next book. So I'd come to accept that I had to write another Rick Storm book. Trouble was, Rick was currently at the bottom of the Hudson River, 2 broken legs, a belly full of lead, and wearing nothing but a ballerina's tutu. Not exactly a popular guy. I can't do any missing files because the books all follow on from one another. And I can't do a prequel because I said the first book was his first case. For someone who writes about a real clever guy, I guess I'm not so smart. So I've spent months trying to think of some way to bring Rick back from the dead. Because if he's not, I am. Then one day, I get a call from a guy who calls himself Nicholas. He sounds refined. Well, nowadays that just means he doesn't drop his H's. I brace for the complaint about how long it's been since the last Rick Storm book. It doesn't come. He says he has a proposal for me. I'm hoping he wants to discuss a movie or TV adaptation, even a book signing. Hell, right now I'd agree to be the clown for a kid's birthday party if the parents would agree to buy some of my books afterwards. He says he has a, quote, mind-blowing idea, unquote, for the next Rick Storm book. Now, I've had fans offer me ideas before. Usually they want half the money for something that was worn out when Sherlock Holmes was still in elementary school. You do know Rick's dead, I say. He says he can get around that. I should laugh and hang up. Time was when I would have done. But several months of drinking too much and eating too little do strange things to a man's judgment. I agree to meet Nicholas for coffee tomorrow afternoon. He wasn't kidding when he said his idea was mind-blowing. It's not just off the wall, it's out the door and down the street. This could sell more than all the previous Rick Storm books put together. And Nicholas wants just 1% of the gross. He hands me a piece of paper. It's a contract, but not one like any I've ever seen. The print is tiny, and as I look closer, words move apart to make way for new ones. He hands me a pen. As I sign, I break into a cold sweat. If I was a religious man, I might describe it as being like someone walking over my grave. I go home and start to type. I type for 24 hours straight. I fall asleep and wake up 3 hours later when I fall out of my chair. I carry on typing, without looking back, without changing anything. It's as if someone else has already written the book and is just dictating it to me. After a week of typing, I email the manuscript to my editor without looking at it. Wanting some rest, I check into the nearest hotel. My editor tracks me down 3 days later. He calls it the work of towering genius, but wants to know why I didn't say anything about it the last time he called. Or the time before that. Or the time before that. Or, well, ever, really. I wanted it to be a surprise, I say. I never could lie to him. It takes him about 30 seconds to get the truth out of me. He asks to see the contract. When he calls back an hour later, he wants to know if this Nicholas guy has horns and cloven hooves. No, I say he's got green skin and a ray gun. What kind of dumb question is that? He doesn't laugh. My editor actually thinks I've sold my soul to the devil. What's worse is that I can't work out which one of us is crazy. Nicholas isn't answering his phone, so I send the contract to my lawyer. When he calls back, he's full of professional admiration for the guy who wrote it, but admits that he can't get me out of it. Over the next few months, the publicity machine grinds into action. Sales exceed even the most optimistic expectations. Then, at a book signing, a familiar voice asks where I got the idea from. That's when it hits me. Not only is this book better than anything I ever have written, it's better than anything I ever will write. Nicholas has taken my soul already.